Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I'm back with my first book haul of 2022, and you can tell it's my first book haul of 2022 because I have Christmas presents on this book haul. I have waited a little bit too long to do this video. I have a lot of books here and they've definitely added up. I will let you know the full number at the end of the video once I've gone through, but there are quite a few, so we're gonna go through them pretty quickly and we're gonna be kind of skimpy on the synopsis. The first book was a Christmas present from the lovely Jessie from The Bookish Mom, and that is The Bonechar Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I am so excited to read this. Thank you so much, Jessie, for sending this to me. This sounds like it has such an amazing magic system. It has great animal companions, apparently. Really unique fantasy world, and everyone is loving this book right now. I think I'm kind of gonna wait until the third book is about to come out before jumping into the series, but I am really excited to start this. This book was a present from the lovely Joanna from the channel Joanna Sousa, and that is Piranesi. I don't have the cover on it because it's been on my bookshelves that are coverless, but I have heard amazing things about this book. Joanna absolutely loves it. It was on her best books of 2021 list, so I'm really excited to jump into it. It's not that long, and I hear it's just reminiscent of The Starless Sea with its kind of whimsy and uniqueness and a very beautiful writing style. I am so looking forward to reading this book. I think this could be an absolute favorite of mine. These next two were gifts from the lovely Kate. We did in a kind of gift exchange over on Alan's Discord, and that is The Blue Sword and The Hero of the Crown by Robin McKinley. I read Beauty and at Spindle's End by Robin McKinley and really enjoyed them, and Kate says that these are two of her best. She really enjoys these, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading these. I think these are more on the middle grade end. They are kind of a classic fantasy, and I'm really excited to try them out. I think they're going to be great. I think they'd be great additions to like readathons if I need some shorter, easier books to get through. So yeah, thank you so much, Kate, for these books. Next is a gift from the lovely Sophia from the channel Sophia's Thoughts, and that is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. First book in his Lightbringer series. They are all chunky. It is an adult high fantasy series where the magic is based on the light spectrum, and I have heard mixed things about the series, but the premise really intrigues me, so I definitely want to check it out, and Sophia and I are planning on buddy reading this sometime. I am hoping it's going to be sometime this year. I obviously have a lot going on, but I would really love to squeeze this in, see how I feel about this, see if I want to continue on with this series. And I think I do owe Sophia a good buddy read. I have been a very terrible buddy read friend, and I need to step up my game. So definitely looking forward to jumping into The Black Prism. The next two were gifts from one of my sisters, and the first is Empire of Grass by Tad Williams. This is the second book in his Last King of Austin Ard series. I do already have the first one, The Witchwood Crown, I believe. Yes, The Witchwood Crown. They're both very thick, chunky fantasy books, but oh, the cover of this one is so beautiful, which is honestly why I was interested in the series to begin with. I have no idea what this is about except as an adult high fantasy series, and I have heard no one talk about it, but I'm interested to jump into it, and so is she, which is why I think she gifted me this, because she wants to see my thoughts so she can know she wants to read it. Next is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I have heard that this book is very weird and creepy and dark, and I am very much in the mood for that type of thing right now. So this one, I just want to jump into and read. I know I have so much going on, so I probably won't be able to, but I am really intrigued by this book. I think it sounds so just the perfect kind of creepy. Katie from the channel Brightness Katie Reads read it and really loved it, so I am interested in this one. This one just very much piques my interest and sounds like something that I would love. The next one is a Christmas gift from my mom, and that is The Skin by J.E. Hannaford. This is a self-published book, and I believe it has really dark, creepy selkies as the main kind of premise of this. I am fascinated to read a very dark fantasy with selkies in it. I'm not a huge fan of like mermaids and sirens and that type of thing. I feel like they never really grab me the way I expect them to, but I would love a dark fantasy with that as their premise. So I'm very interested to try this out. Plus I love getting some more self-pub on my TBR. And the final Christmas present was from my husband, and that is Zodiac Academy Book 2, Ruthless Fae. He actually got me the first and the second Zodiac Academy, but I already owned the first one, so I gave that to my sister, and now I have the second one, so I am interested to try out this series. I feel like it just would be a great palette cleanser between these very intense high fantasy series, plus it has some romance thrown in there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna love the romance because I hear it is a bully romance, but I'm intrigued. I definitely have to figure it out. It has the magical school setting, but it's more at a university level instead of at, you know, like a younger 13 to 18 level. We're up above that now, so I definitely want to check it out. I hear it's kind of dark and a little bit traumatizing, and I'm really intrigued. The next chunk of books are all books that I bought at the Barnes & Noble 50% off hardcover sale, which you can tell it's been a while since I've done a book haul since these are still on here. But the first one up is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the second book in her Scholomance series. The first one, A Deadly Education, and I already had the first one in hardcover, so I figured I might as well pick up the second one in hardcover. I haven't read the first one, but this is apparently a dark, deadly academic setting where they are trying to learn all this dark magic, and then in order to graduate you have to like escape through all of these monsters that are trying to kill you. I have heard very mixed things about the series. Some people love it, some people hate it, and I'm interested to see where I land on that. The next book I have heard minimal about, and that is The Counselor by E.J. Beaton. I really have very little idea of what this is about. I think there's definitely political intrigue in here, and we are following a counselor rather than the royalty. I think there is sapphic romance in here from what I have seen from one person on TikTok who has talked about this book, but it just grabbed my attention. I like the cover and I really wanted it, so this one also got picked up when it was 50% off. This next book I don't actually know why I grabbed, because I did not like the original trilogy that this one follows. That was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I actually very much disliked the Caraval trilogy, so I don't know why I grabbed this one, but I did. I feel like Jax was my favorite character within the original trilogy, so I'm hoping that he will be a very prominent character in this and I will enjoy that aspect of it, but we shall see. I have it now though, so if I want to pick it up, I can. Next one was honestly an impulse buy as well, and that is Among Thieves by M.J. Kuhn. This one I don't know anything about. It's an adult fantasy. I think we are following some thieves in it, but I really have seen it quite a bit on TikTok. I follow one of the authors. Oh my gosh, I don't remember her name, but I follow someone on TikTok that has posted quite a bit about this one. So when I saw it, I was like, hey, I should grab it. I should read it. I haven't heard anybody talk about it other than a couple people on TikTok, and that's been very brief, but it is a short adult fantasy, so I think that would be very interesting. I hear it's fairly fast paced and maybe a little bit too much so that things are a little rushed. Still interested in it, and I think it should be a good read. I don't know if it's a series though. Kind of hoping it's a standalone. The next is a complete cover buy, I'll be honest. That's The Godstone by Violet Milan. This cover is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Even if I don't love the book, I'm happy that I own it because I think this cover is so beautiful. This is an adult high fantasy. I think it's a little bit dark, and there's something called a Godstone that they are out to find. I don't know much about it. This happens a lot when I cover buy books, but I'm super intrigued by it. Again, it's a fairly short adult fantasy book, so I do think that this is the first in a series though, so I gotta keep that in mind when it hasn't even had the second book released. But yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm so glad that I picked it up. Oh, and then we have A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer Armentrout. So this is a prequel book to her From Blood and Ash series, but you are supposed to read the first 3 From Blood and Ash books before you read this one. I have read none of those. I don't know why I picked this up. I think it was because it was 50% off and it's in hardcover, and I wanted it in hardcover to match. Yeah. I hear people complain a little bit about the editing in this book, that isn't that good. And I mean, in all honesty, there is a typo on this flip side and a typo on the back already. And it's a fairly expensive hardcover for having like typos and not quite as well made. I mean, underneath you just kind of have tiny Shadow in the Ember printed on there. But you know, it is what it is. I wanted it in hardcover because I have the special editions of her From Blood and Ash books. I don't know why I cannot say that today. So pretty much I needed this to match. And the final book I got that 50% off hardcover sale is The Two-Faced Queen by Nick Martell. I bought the first book in this series, which I think is The Kingdom of Liars, if I'm not mistaken. I loved the cover of it, which is why I picked it up. Plus it was blurred by Brandon Sanderson. I don't love the cover of this one as much. I think the artwork is still beautiful, but it doesn't pull me in quite the same way as the first one in that series. But I did want to get it while it was still in hardcover so I could have it as a matching set. Now we are going to jump into special edition books from book boxes. First we have The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman. This one came in an Owl Crate box, and I believe we have 4 siblings who are somehow either vying for the throne or trying to keep the political power that their family has. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy, and in all honesty, I'm not really that intrigued by it at this point, but maybe. I feel like this isn't one that I'm really in a hurry to read, and I don't think it has a ton of, it has this underneath, which is very pretty on the other side, and it does have some artwork on the reverse of the dust jacket. The next is also an Owl Crate, and that is When Night Breaks by Janella Angelis. This is a sequel to Where Dreams Descend, and Where Dreams Descend came in an Owl Crate box, and it just looks so different than the regular covers. Like this one is printed on to the naked hardback, and I wanted this one to match my Where Dreams Descend. It's just a duology, so I decided to pick this one up as well. This next one was just kind of a bonus book in an Illumicrate, and that is, again, The Ivory Key. This is the UK version, so you can see we have the 4 siblings on here, and then we have sprayed edges. So it was just kind of a bonus book, so there's not really that much extra in here, but I do now have 2 copies, so I probably will end up getting rid of one of them, and I'm not sure which one. I think probably this one, just because I like the other one as a hardcover better, and I do prefer hardcovers. So another Owl Crate book is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. This one I believe is like a mermaid story. I'm not 100% positive on that though. I'm not really that intrigued by it. Like I said earlier, I'm not that into mermaid stories unless they're like kind of dark. And this one just doesn't give me those vibes. I do think it has a very pretty cover. I like the color changes. I love the gold sprayed edges on there. And I really love what they did on the naked hardback. I think that is so beautiful, that kind of green marbling to it. But you know, I'm just not that intrigued by it, and I feel like I probably wouldn't enjoy it that much because I know that I don't really like those mermaid stories quite as much. Next is another Illumicrate, and that is A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk? Not positive how to say that, but I love what they did with this special edition. So you have this part of the cover, and when it comes off, it pulls off that, and then on the naked hardback, it has this to it. So I really, really love that design. I think it's so cool. I think these sprayed edges are also gorgeous. So yeah, I really, really love this edition. I know nothing about this. This is an adult fantasy. I think it's an adult historical contemporary fantasy, if I'm not mistaken, but I've heard people absolutely love it. So I am interested to read it, just not quite as intrigued enough to bring it to the top of my TBR list. And the final box book on this list is The Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. Again, this is so beautiful. It is on the naked hardback, which I absolutely love. The sprayed edges, I mean, that is stunning. So I am really excited to read this one. Oh, the end papers, it's just so beautiful. I love this edition so, so much. I am interested in this book just because I've heard a lot of people loving it lately, but it's not, again, it's not one I'm super excited for and want to read right away. These next 2 books I'm pretty much putting in here for Andrew. So Andrew, my next 2 books that I got from my Richard Branson book club, I have now canceled my subscription because in all honesty, I'm not going to read them. This one's called Time Flies, and this one is The Spy and the Traitor. I know absolutely nothing about either of them, and I'll probably never read them. The next two books were so kindly sent to me from a couple of my friends, one of them from over on Instagram and one from BookTube. I'll obviously link any of these creators that I've mentioned down below in the description box, but they are the special editions of Assassin's Quest and Royal Assassin. This one was sent to me by JJ, who is one of my good friends over on Instagram. He has an awesome Instagram account, especially if you love adult fantasy, so you should definitely check him out. And the Royal Assassin was sent to me by Monet. Her channel is Life is Monet, and she is so great. You should definitely check out her channel as well. These are beautiful. I am so excited to have these amazing like illustrated editions of the Farseer trilogy, which I absolutely love, by Robin Hobb. I have the first one and now I have the complete set. They're gonna look so beautiful on my bookcase and I am so excited. Now we are going to jump into books that I actually purchased in this year. So first we have Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. This is the second book in her Wicked Villains series. It's like adult erotica and they are short. I don't know if they're necessarily novellas, all of them, because I think this one is like 250 pages, so maybe it is. But I read the first one and it was okay. I didn't love it. I don't know when I'm going to get to this, but I do now own it. I think this one is Meg and Hades and Hercules. So we'll see. The next one was kind of an impulse buy, and that is Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. This is not within her realm of the Elderlings as far as I'm aware. I believe this is a completely different series that she wrote, and I don't know anything about it. I bought it because I love Robin Hobb and I have all of her other books, her Realm of the Elderlings books, and so I figured I would want to try this series out when I was done with those, and so I bought it. It was an interesting choice. I probably should have waited until I was closer to wanting to read it, but there you go. I now have it. And it does kind of match her other books, her other UK version books that I have for her Realm of the Elderlings. So there is that, at least it'll kind of fit onto that shelf. I haven't really heard great things about this series, but I'm still interested to try it out. This next book just sounded so amazing to me when it first came out, and I'm still really intrigued by it, but I haven't gotten to it, and that is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. Oh, this just sounds so good. They describe it as a magical Hunger Games, and I think it sounds fascinating. You have these ancient magical families that send in their children to compete for the control of the high magic, and it's deadly and they kill each other, and I am really intrigued by it. I really want to read this book. It's so, it just sounds like something I would absolutely love. I kind of want to wait till the next one comes out so I can just binge it, because this seems like it'll be a very bingeable duology. I think it's just a duology, I think. Next, I bought for a buddy read that I am doing with Angela from the channel Angela Rose Reads. That is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is the Dark Academia book that we chose for the month of February. I am already partway into it. I am enjoying it, intrigued, interested to see what I think overall, but yeah, I've been loving Dark Academia lately. This one of their friends from their college friend group was killed at college, and I think it was a cold case. They never really figured out what happened, so I'm intrigued whether we find out who the murderer is in this book. Next one I purchased fairly recently because I am planning on reading it in the month of March, and that is Valor by John Gwynne. This is the second book in his Faithful and the Fallen series, the first one being Malice, and my patrons and I are reading this as a buddy read. We're doing it every other month. We're reading one of the books in the series until we complete it, and I really enjoyed the first book. I am so interested to jump in. It's a Norse-inspired adult fantasy series, many POVs, very military, political, focused, with some very interesting like lore and magic to it. So really looking forward to continuing on with the series. If you'd like to join us in the buddy read, my Patreon is linked down below. But yeah, I cannot wait to jump into this book this month. The next one was another fairly impulse buy, and that is The Death of Mrs. Westerway by Ruth Ware. I went to the DI, which is kind of a like charity secondhand shop where I am from, and I saw this one and it looked like it was in pretty decent condition for a hardcover, and I don't ever see this one in hardcover, and I really like it. I think it's a really cool look to the cover. So I decided to pick it up because it was only $2. I know that Ruth Ware writes really good thrillers. I've read one of hers before and really enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people like pretty much all of her thrillers, so I'm very interested to jump into this. But yeah, it was just an impulse buy in all reality. This next one I ordered several months ago, and it just came in like a week, maybe 2. It took forever for this to get to me, and that is Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar. I just really like the cover. In all reality, it's a self-published book. I know that there are gods in here that are very influential in this kind of battle that is going on between these two peoples. I don't know a whole ton about it. I like to go in a little bit blind, and I am really excited to try this out. It just seems very interesting, and I do want to get a little bit more into self-published adult fantasy. This next one I bought because it is the Shelf Space book club pick for the month of April, and my friend Joanna is going to be co-hosting along with Fish, and I'm so excited because they're going to be reading Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruccio, and I love this cover. I think it is absolutely stunning, and I am so excited that I found it in hardcover, but they didn't continue making this. Like, I think this is a UK cover. They didn't continue making the UK covers in hardcovers as far as I can find. So now I'm gonna have to get the rest of it in the US hardcovers. They're not gonna match. I'm gonna be really annoyed, but this one is beautiful. So I'm not too terribly upset about it because I love it so much. This is an adult sci-fi series, and on the front, it says epic science fiction at its most genuinely epic, by James S.A. Corey. So that's high praise from the writers of the Expanse series. I'm very, very excited to jump into this. I have heard people absolutely adore this series overall, so really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, definitely come join us in April if you want to read this book. Next, we have Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in her Throne of Glass series, which I read the first one in December and did quite enjoy, so I'm going to be continuing on with the series. This is a YA fantasy series. We follow this assassin who has to compete in order to almost win her freedom, and I liked it. It was fun. It was a good time. I'm really excited to continue on because I've heard people say that the series just gets better as you go, and I am planning on reading this book in the month of March. This next one is a little bit of a disappointment for me, and that is City of Lies by Sam Hawke. This is the first book in the Poison War series, and when I got it, I didn't know it was a library binding one, so I am just a little bit annoyed by that. I'm going to try to maybe take off the library binding type and the stickers so it doesn't look like that anymore. We shall see. I don't know anything about this book except it was a Shelf Space book club for the month of February, and I did not get to it, unfortunately. And the last book of this book haul, holy cow, this felt so long, is The Starless Crown by James Rollins. This is an adult fantasy written by an author that usually writes thrillers as far as I could tell looking at his page, but I had to have it because of the cover. Again, this is completely a cover buy. This was an option for my subscriber picks video a while back, and a lot of people said they were interested in me reading it just because they had never heard of it and they were really intrigued to see what I thought. So I do want to read this sooner rather than later. I'm really hoping I can get to it, but yeah, it sounds really good. And that is my first book haul of 2022. It was out of control. It was a lot. I believe there were 37 books in that book haul. I need to make sure that my next one is a little bit shorter and I don't have that many on there. I need to do my book hauls more frequently, but I also am buying a little bit less books now than I was before. As you could tell, a lot of those books were from December. So I am trying to cut back on my book buying a little bit because I just feel like I need to. I think I let myself get a little bit out of control. But let me know which of these books you have read that you loved, if you're really excited about any of these, any that you think I would absolutely love and should move to the top of my TBR. And as always, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.